It's like we in Dudleyville. Stocked Up Wrestling. JarynDSB. You already know. Coming at you with the fiery wrestling takes weekly. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram. It's the same name. Jaryn, JARYN_DSB. Boom. Also be on the lookout. New Stocked Up podcast dropping Tuesday, 6 p.m. Some light, some for y'all to enjoy. I'm happy about this one personally. Look forward to it. Like, comment, subscribe, always. So let's get right into it. AEW Full Gear was last night. And this is not a wrestling review show. So I will not be going over the matches. I'm sorry if that disappoints you. But I'll just go over takeaways and what we can expect from those takeaways in the future here in AEW land. Main takeaway being MJF is now our world heavyweight champion. And it's about damn time. This was something I was hoping for a long time. If there was a camp or parade screaming to take the belt off of Moxley, I was near the front of that parade. Not that I love Jon Moxley personally, but I just think how they've booked his run as world heavyweight champion in AEW could have been a little better. You know, you have your champion out there week after week defending the belt every night. Like, it sounds good, but then when he starts defending the title against guys that we haven't even heard of, or guys that don't even have a winning record or barely have a winning record, that kind of starts to taint the look of the belt a little bit. At least to me. But MJF, he's finally champion, and we deserve this. AEW deserves this. Tony Khan knew this was the right thing to do. Everybody backstage in AEW knew this was the right thing to do. MJF is the hottest thing in professional wrestling right now. I know a lot of people are pretty happy about what Roman Reigns is doing over in WWE, but looking at it and the trajectory of where everything can continue to go, I think Roman Reigns has kind of is starting to plateau in a way. I mean, granted, the Sami Zayn shit is pretty entertaining, but he's definitely, as an overall package, I think it's starting to begin to plateau, especially with the amount of opponents starting to run a little low and them now having to start to kind of recycle opponents. So what's next? MJF as champ. Do they do rematch clauses in AEW? Because if that's the case, Jon Moxley's next. We saw Kenny Omega and the Bucks are back. Does that mean MJF's going to work a program with Kenny? I'd hope not. The thing with MJF is he's a generational talent. So I don't even want to speculate. I just want to sit back and enjoy this run with MJF as my AEW World Heavyweight Champion. And that's it. Samoa Joe. He's now the Ring of Honor Television Champion and the TNT Champion. That's good. The TNT Champion is on a legitimate, badass, someone the fans know very well, someone they can easily invest in. Very good move. Jamie Hayter, the new interim AEW Women's Champion. Jamie Hayter's got a bit of talent. She's definitely got size. One of the bigger women in their division. So it's good to see a woman with size get into the action, get into the mix, and then end up getting the belt. You know, too much of these smaller women seemingly being pushed to the forefront. You know, get some women in there. Jeff Jarrett in AEW, okay? When I made a video a few months ago, I was thinking about people Tony Khan should bring in to essentially help him backstage, manage the talent and how they relate to his product and overall image of AEW. And Jeff Jarrett was someone who came to mind. But then I thought, Jeff Jarrett, he'd be more suited as a kind of a promoter of sorts. And then they bring him into AEW. And I guess he's going to be working in promotion in a sense, but more so overseas for whatever that means. I would hope, though, he would take on the role of what JR was when Vince ran WWE. Just be that guy in the guy's ear. Too many pronouns. And essentially help the talent. Jeff Jarrett's got tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of experience on all corners of wrestling. He could help AEW in ways that maybe no one else Tony Khan has brought on can help AEW. With that being said, I don't think he's going to be allowed to, because I'll say it again, the Young Bucks and Omega are back. The EVPs are back. And as long as them and Tony Khan have the final say, it might be hard for anybody who actually knows professional wrestling to do something about AEW long term. I've said before and I'll say it again. Tony's not doing this all of his own volition. When you don't know any better and someone tells you what you're doing is right, you're going to think it's right. And that's the situation we have unfolding in AEW. And we, unfortunately, have to continue to unfold, because, like I said, they're back. Over to WWE land. You knew I was gonna hop back on this, because I'm not gonna let it go. Here we have a top talent in Bray Wyatt. Here we have a top talent about to feud with another top talent in LA Knight. Let me just say real quick, I really like LA Knight. I judge how you should present wrestlers based on 5 criteria: in-ring ability, in-ring psychology, promo ability, athleticism, and charisma. Right? LA Knight has all 5 of those things in spades, meaning if he presents himself well, he can be pushed as a star. LA Knight looks like a star. LA Knight carries himself like a star. Thus, having the intangibles, LA Knight is a star. The only thing ruining this Bray Wyatt and LA Knight thing, the bad renditions of every horror movie ever that Bray Wyatt constantly puts into his gimmicks. I've said it once and I'll say it again. This is going to be the same shit with a different mask. I understand that Bray Wyatt is a phenomenal worker. You will never get me to deny that. He's a phenomenal worker. He can talk. For someone his size, not even for someone his size, period. He's a pretty good athlete in the ring. He knows what he's doing in the ring. He has the total package to be a superstar. But it's just this shitty horror movie gimmick. And I wish he would somehow, some way go to Hollywood and make millions and millions of dollars creating and directing horror films, because that seems to be the way Bray Wyatt wants to go. LA Knight is money. So people are going to be interested in this for two reasons. For some reason, people are attracted to the character or characters that Bray Wyatt tends to come up with. And then you have LA Knight, who is a star. Another reason why people might want to tune in. Bray Wyatt was at his best when he had stooges around him, I think. Since the Swamp Dweller Wyatt whole thing, we can blame the Fiend in the direction of that on Vince. But if we're getting the same thing just with a different mask, and I don't know. I mean, I guess the positive is he's coming across as more of a person who kind of just does bad things. Kind of like a movie character in a way. Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight. I'm interested because I think LA Knight is a star. Superstar. Like a superstar. And Bray Wyatt is also a superstar. But they just got to get rid of this gimmick. If you could, bring back the Swamp Dweller, if anything. But the horror movie shit has got to go. And one thing with Bray Wyatt, people have a tendency, for some reason, when you critique a professional wrestler's character or how they present themselves on television, people take that for some reason as you essentially evaluating their entire body of work. Bray Wyatt can have a shitty character and still be a phenomenal talent, a phenomenal in-ring worker. That is his current case. Character, shitty. The guy, the person, the talent, phenomenal. There's tons of guys in AEW. The presentation, but their work, promos, overall, what they could be, people like to jump to conclusions. Because for some reason, for some fans, hearing their favorite wrestler and hearing any kind of negativity about them triggers them for some reason. It's not to get triggered. Critiquing is how people get better. Sometimes, don't get me wrong, sometimes older wrestlers, wrestling journalists, they have their grudges, they hold their hatred, they have their narratives that they want to push. That's understood. But what also has to be understood is that professional wrestlers have an entire body of work. You can critique one thing without critiquing essentially every other thing. I've said this before. Trent in AEW. Trent by himself. I like Trent. Trent's very good. Trent in the Best Friends, I don't like. Why? He's a phenomenal talent. I just hate that presentation. Simple as that. Bray Wyatt, phenomenal talent. Not a big fan. Why? I'm not a fan of that presentation. If someone made you your favorite food and you were all ready to eat it and they served it to you in a garbage can, would you still eat it? Next topic. Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley. They're re-establishing Bobby Lashley as the monster, as this monstrous presence once again. And he keeps, maybe I'm looking too much into things. This is wishful thinking on my part. I'm looking far too much into things. I want the Hurt Business back. I think we all want the Hurt Business back. If I'm by myself, I'm by myself. I want the Hurt Business back. And in a lot of Bobby's promos, and what he does backstage when he's talking to the interviewers. He mentions the word hurt. He wants to hurt people. He's back to hurt people. He's going to keep hurting people. And maybe, just maybe, like I said, maybe wishful thinking, Hurt Business might be coming back. When I saw Bobby Lashley and Ali, we're going to have a match. Mustafa Ali, excuse me. We're going to have a match. I rolled my eyes. Because I'm like, why put Bobby in there with this guy who WWE clearly has no direction for, no plan for. They clearly have no spot for whatsoever. This was the perfect spot. Bobby Lashley went out there. He said what he said. You're starting to piss me off. You want to fight? We can do it, but I'm going to hurt you. And he hurt him. Boom. That's what Bobby Lashley should be. That's what he should be doing week after week after week. He's a monster. You don't have too many monsters on the roster right now. We got Braun, but we've been seeing Braun for years now. I think we've seen all of Braun. Almost, he was looking good, and then he just got beat flat by Braun at Crown Jewel when he was looking good during the match. So, I don't know. You got no monsters, but you got Bobby Lashley. And strength, in-ring work, charisma, athleticism. Dude's in his mid-40s. What? Come on, man. Get him a manager. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Bobby Lashley's best package is with a manager. Point blank, period. Don't leave him out there by himself to flounder. Invest in him, empower him, make him a star. Austin Theory. Real quick. So as you guys have seen, I was a little quick to judge Austin Theory. Well, not Austin Theory, but what they were doing with him. Like, I wish if at least you were going to have him win the Money in the Bank. I wish if he was going to lose it, he would have lost it in a better way. He lost it cashing in on the U.S. title. A title no one has ever cashed in for, excuse me. Right there, what is that? I would have much rathered him, try to cash in on Roman Reigns and Roman Reigns just fucking obliterate him. Send him back to Raw. Boom. He tried. He just wasn't that good. And then you build him up like how you're doing now. So, didn't like what they were doing with Austin Theory. But that's not to say Austin Theory's not a superstar talent. And I think Triple H sees that. And we'll see where we go from here. Well, we're paying attention. We're paying attention to Theory. Let's touch on War Games real quick. These War Games matches. We saw Triple H and NXT doing the War Games matches. AEW did their own variation of the War Games match, I think, once. When you look at War Games matches from wrestling in years prior, they were kind of like big events, and I know it's a cool classic concept, but kind of having it too like congested, like there's no real ooh-ah to it, At least for me, like, they did it in NXT a lot. I think 2 years straight they did it. And then AEW did it. And then I think NXT did it again, but kind of differently. And now the main roster is going to do it. You look at what Triple H is doing, as far as getting rid of the gimmick match pay-per-views, the Hell in a Cells, the Money in the Bank, and what have you. I wish Survivor Series is one of the ones that I'm thinking you got to keep traditional, You probably have 2 5-man tag elimination matches on the card. One for the women, and then you have your 2 title matches, and that's the card right there. 5 matches. Boom. But now you got all these teams, and now you're throwing the War Games into it. I'm down to watch it. I'm down to check it out. It's definitely going to be a spectacle. It's WWE. It's going to be a spectacle. But I do feel like they're kind of overdoing the War Games. And the thing with matches like War Games or even a cage match, a Hell in a Cell match, any kind of gimmick match, the reason why at one point in time people loved them is because, one, they are different and they didn't see it all the time. You kind of have to have that mystique behind it. When you do it all the time, like the Elimination Chamber, when you do it all the time, it kind of loses the mystique. And people don't really want to see it anymore. That's just the honesty of it. Moving on. Triple H reaching out to Stone Cold. So it said Triple H reached out to Stone Cold about another possible appearance. We last saw Stone Cold at WrestleMania where he stunned Vince, and Vince had an aneurysm. We'll see where it goes from there. Stone Cold did look really good. He had a match with Kevin Owens the night before, so I wouldn't mind seeing the Rattlesnake again. What say you guys? John Cena looking for a WrestleMania opponent. Of course, he's one of the biggest stars still WWE has recently produced. And with the grandest stage of them all, the biggest show of the year coming up real quick, got to find an opponent. And who's going to step up to the plate? Logan Paul. We know he's hurt, but WWE's hoping he's not as hurt as they once thought. They're hoping that they can have him back by WrestleMania season. Logan Paul said he wants to face John Cena at WrestleMania. So Cena's looking for an opponent. Logan's looking for an opponent. Triple H might throw Logan a bone. That's what Logan's hoping. Lastly, we'll touch on Tony Khan. Tony Khan saying he quote-unquote didn't know. I didn't know. And I'll say it for you and me. And on the Full Gear media call, I think a few days before the pay-per-view, he got asked about CM Punk essentially laying everything out on the line about the EVPs and his time in AEW essentially thus far. And Tony got pretty flustered when he got hit with the question, why didn't you stop him? Why didn't you say anything? And literally, he just, I didn't know, it was, the timing and you and him, and I didn't know he was going to say, and I didn't want to, and that's Tony, backstage. He didn't know, he didn't want to, man, and everyone else backstage is of the same mindset. He has no one else back there who does know and does wanna, So, so all that to say, Tony Khan, once again, common theme on this show, get it together. But as we started the show with, he brought Kenny and the Bucks back. So what we're going to get going forward, who knows? But no more Punk. Moxley's not the champ anymore. We're left with Chris Jericho now, Kenny Omega, and the Bucks. That should be good television. Anyways, hopefully this was good television. Parting, YouTubing, recording, some verb. Like, comment, subscribe, share. JarynDSB, TikTok, Instagram. Rock with me.